and the Bluegrass State. This is your two dads.
Your two dads.
Real dads giving you the real news.
Like Elon Musk just wrecked Marc Cuban on the on X.com or X Twitter or X Twitter or Twitter. What do you call it? How do you refer to X?
Which sucks now because I say X, formerly Twitter, like everybody else does. So
Yeah.
it's like the artist formerly known as Prince. Why couldn't
Yeah.
you just pick Prince? It was just, why couldn't you
Yeah.
just, it's made it
I don't
hard.
know. So
I'm interested in this story.
Yeah, this is going to be good. We've got so we're going to talk about Elon Musk and Marc Cuban and DEI a little bit. Could it be related to airplanes and pilots and stuff like that? Maybe it is. I know that we're going to talk about. We got some cruise news, which I'm always excited because I don't personally have never figured out how to get the Thetans out, and I'm always wondering every time we hear cruise news if I'm going to figure out how to get to like OT 2 or 3.
What the hell are you talking about?
You don't know? You don't know.
English?
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in a minute. We got some other news too. Good morning, Deacon. I'm JJ. This is Deacon. And we meet here every morning at 8 a.m. on rumble.com/JJW to drink coffee, talk news, and talk shit, and have a good chuckle. It's the best way to start your day. Change your attitude, change your mind, set a positive mental framework. Deke,
right.
I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this on my drive back from the kids' school this morning. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna exceed my authority, and I'm gonna speak to your personal experience. I think that this show has made your mood and your day better since we started doing it at 8 o'clock in the morning.
It's really weird that you say that. First and foremost, before I want. Yesterday, I commented on your black beanie and said you look like you were fixing to go rob a bank. And now you're wearing a black hoodie with your black beanie.
Yeah.
And you just explained that you just dropped off your kids at school. And I'm like, I wonder if there was any other parents. It's like, look at that guy. Look.
Why does this 45-year-old man dress like a ninja? That makes no sense.
You think we need to go help those little girls?
Oh, man.
So anyway, I'm sorry.
It's cold outside. There's ice on my window.
What did you
ask? I asked if this show, show had changed your framework of reality.
It's
slightly.
weird that you say that because I was just thinking about my buddy JJW this morning, and before the show, I'm being serious. I'm being earnest here.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Most sincere. I was getting stuff together for the show, and you know how my mind works. It's going 9,000 directions at one time. And I was thinking, my buddy JJ, he's one of the most positive people that I know. These are these thoughts that are going through my head real quick. He's one of the most positive people I know. It's sickening how positive this guy is. I love it. I love being around him because he makes me in a better mood because he's so sickeningly
that's
annoyingly positive.
Yeah.
Like, shut up, dude. Can't you hate something for a minute? And you don't, and it makes me a better person.
Well, I hate some things, but not maliciously. It's more like
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You know what? Do you know this is? I don't know how this is really. I was thinking about this yesterday, and it's something I learned like 20 years ago. But it's something that it's one of those, you learn certain things and they just stick in your head and they're always there. 20 years ago, I was like in retail sales and I was selling like cell phones or whatever stuff to people. And you know how it is. People come in and they're like, I don't want you to sell me. I just want some answers. And you're like, I need you to buy something because I need a paycheck. So when I was going through that, I experimented all different kinds of ways to talk to people, which is difficult for me because, like you, I'm an introvert. I am not an extroverted person. My wife is extroverted, and I'm an introverted person. When I have to be around people, which is so weird. Why was I in retail sales? I don't know. When I have to be around people, I literally have to put on like a suit of armor character to pretend to interact with people because really it just sucks the energy out of myself.
Same with me.
It's difficult.
I had to create a character. My radio station personality is not my real personality. I put on a character when I go out in public. I have to. It's not how I really am.
So to clothe myself in some armor to be able to do my job at the time, I experimented with lots of different ways to kind of like interact with people. One was, if you want people to buy something, you need to get them talking, because if you're talking to them, they're not listening. So what you do is you just ask them little questions, and then you wait for them to say something, and then you ask them a question about what they said. And basically you get them talking, because people love to talk about themselves, which you might notice if you've ever watched this show. But here's the thing. Here's one of the nuggets of gold that I learned. Enthusiasm is contagious. It is not it's something primitive in human beings, where if one person is enthusiastic about something and they're talking about it enthusiastically, and the other person doesn't know or care at all, for instance, if I'm talking like, oh my God, let me tell you about these batteries. These batteries are amazing. And I'm just like talking to you about how amazing they are and all the positive things. It doesn't matter that you don't care about batteries, because the primitive human the primitive human experience of enthusiasm, like, this guy's excited about something and I don't know what it is, but I like it. and it's great. It's like a gravity.
Have you ever seen? Oh, so have you ever seen those videos where the guy sits in public, he sits in a park or somewhere, and he's like looking at his phone or something. He makes sure he's around a lot of people, and he just starts laughing, and he starts laughing uncontrollably, like laughing, and everybody else starts laughing, and they don't even know why they're laughing. It's just they're laughing because it's contagious. And anyway, back to that. I was thinking about you, and you, like you said, yes, the show has made me more positive. It really has. And I'm trying to do some personal stuff, because I understand that I did have a chip on my shoulder for a lot of things, and it's not good to carry around stuff. And I know better than that. And I always don't do that, but do as I say, not as I do. And I need to do as I,
what I'm actually doing is trying to sell our show to the casual passerby. Like, hey, this show makes your day better. Show up. Yeah, right. Okay, so look, did I tell you I got out of retail sales? I wasn't able to do it.
You guys should have just called each other.
Yeah, that's a great comment from Dave. We'll revisit that a little bit later. So before we do the rest of our show,
one more thing I was going to add on to that when you were talking about that. Early in radio, 25 plus years ago in radio, gosh, I bet it's closer to 30 years in radio. When I first started, one of the girls that had more experience than me, she was the news director. She came in and she gave me she was very candid with me. She's like, I'm not doing this to hurt your feelings. I'm telling you this stuff because I care about you. Here's your problems. You talk too fast. You do this, blah, 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 blah. And she'd always come in and say, and so she always give me great advice that I still carry to this day. And one of those pieces of advice was, smile when you talk. When you're reading the news, just smile. If you're reading the news like this, people can tell that you're reading the news like this. But if you just smile and read the news, people can hear that smile on your face because you're smiling. Even if it's a fake smile, they can hear that smile on your face. So I've carried that with me throughout the years. When I answered the phone, you laughed at me one time years ago when we were doing the show and I had to answer the phone and I accidentally left my mic up. And I was like, blah, blah, blah. Hey, how are you? And you're like, dude, you put on such a crazy, you got to do that. You got to make the people feel
when you smile when you're talking, like remember back in the days when you would talk on cell phones? if you smile when you're talking and they can't see you, I shouldn't turn away from the mic. They hear your voice brighter somehow. They can tell. You can tell when somebody's smiling. All right. I don't know. Let's do this.
That was a good conversation, but you guys should just call each other. I wish we still had that quote.
I got it somewhere.
One of our first comments ever was the dude said, you should just
should be a phone call.
And oh man, that's the best quote ever. But this is Your Two Dads. We talk about all kinds of stuff, including news and including music, because I am a DJ and have been for a long time. So this week wrong button. This week we are featuring a band out of my home state and my home county, my hometown. And the songwriter and lead singer is a personal friend of mine and has been for about 30 years. And the band is called Hollerhead. And they don't have a lot of songs on YouTube, but they have 6 or 7 on there. They don't have a lot of subscribers. They are a really freaking great band, and he is a really great songwriter. Me and my brother was just talking about them a couple of weeks ago, and we'd seen them out a couple of times before, but I never really, they were one of those local bands that I never really paid attention, because when we were out seeing them live, I was drinking and talking with people, and, I wasn't paying attention to the song and the music like I do. So here, my brother and I were talking about it, because he's a big music head too, and he was like, you need to really listen to his songwriting. It's great. It's great. Because I joked, I was like, whoever thought Jeremy Marshall would have had a great singing voice, because he's got this real kind of tony, whiny voice, and he's got a good singing voice. And so I started listening to it. I'm like, man, it's so good. If these people like Oliver Anthony and that type of music, you will like these songs. These are real songs from real people. He's writing real stuff. So I thought you would like this one today. Whiskey Likes Me. So check them out.
I gotta be honest. The opening shot is a bottle of whiskey, and I was like, "Oh, I'm already in." Wow, I might drink whiskey quite a bit. Yeah, the opening shot of this video is 4 Roses small batch whiskey, and I was like, I wonder what that's like. I wonder what that is. So, is the couple of these songs, the videos. I don't know who is filming these videos for these guys, especially since they're like a small band, like you say. But their videos have a high value for what I would expect to be, budget videos. So that's great stuff. And Deke's on the phone. All right, guys. All right. Well, I'm going to end his music segment while he talks. I don't know. I'm going to say grocery list with it. Look at Deke smiling right now. Deke's smiling on the phone because he's with a customer. I think he can hear us in the other headphone. All right. So a minute ago, David said in the DISC leadership profile, when you change for a group to sell or for radio, it's called adaptive behavior. And basically, you become what you need to get what you want or who the others need you to be. Yeah, that's pretty neat. That's interesting. I did not know that. It's interesting that it has a name for whatever that is.
Dave,
I just kind of thought
Dave,
smart guy.
I started to say Dave is much smarter than us. Is that Dave? Was that Dave?
Yeah, that's Dave. That's Dave.
Oh,
I always just kind of thought like maybe I'm a sociopath and I have to change my skin sometimes. Apparently, it's not that bad. It's just something called adaptive behavior. Although I might be a sociopath.
I actually watched a thing on this not too long. It wasn't very long ago that because I like this kind of stuff because I do this. I've had to put on, like you said.
Yeah, you're aware of it.
Like I haven't done it for 30 years, but it's been well over like 25 years. When I was on the top 40 station and we were 100,000 watt morning show playing the top music, and I had 250,000 listeners every 15 minutes is what they thought. The turnover was like 250,000 listeners every 15 minutes. So or something like that. 25,000.
Wow.
No, not 250,000. 25,000. That's a big number. 25,000 different listeners every 15 minutes. So we had a lot of listeners. And when I would go out in public, I was always Drew. I was always that character. I was always Drew. People would know, they would recognize my voice. They see me. And so I'm not that person. So I'd have to put on that character. And the thing I watched the other day was talking about Larry the Cable Guy. All right.
Oh, that's one for sure. That's not a real personality. That's a put on.
His name is Daniel Whitney. Dan Whitney is his real name. You can go back and watch some old Dan Whitney comedy, stand-up comedy, and he's just a guy. He made this character, Larry the Cable Guy, invented this voice, invented this whole personality, and now he is that. He is no longer Dan Whitney. He is Larry the Cable Guy, to the point that that character got a job as another character, as Mater. They wouldn't have hired Dan Whitney to be the voice.
Right.
They hired Larry the Cable Guy
to
be the voice of Mater. So that character has become alive. That is now his persona. The only time he is Dan Whitney is when he is with his family or his close friends or by himself. Any
filing
other time,
taxes.
he's a character that he has invented.
That's
So I don't
that's
know if I would like
crazy.
live as a character all the time.
No way, no. In fact, you especially something like that would be like shattering because you're like, oh, I'm tremendously successful as a person that I am not. People don't actually like me. They like this thing that I've made. Kind of reminds me of Dylan Mulvaney, right? That's exactly the same thing. That's a guy that's invented a character where he's a girl or pretends to be a girl or whatever, and is enormously successful on social media, algorithm, whatever, like gets lots of views and I guess money, but that's not that real person.
I used to on Thursday nights, I used to be an elf named Son with a magic sword, and sorry.
All right. Dork, nerd alert.
Crap
we need sirens. Whoa, we went too far. Yeah, we haven't got to any of the news yet. You are a liar, is what Elon Musk said to Mark Cuban. You are a liar. This is great. I love this. Okay.
First, before you say anything, you probably can't bigonate that picture, can you?
I mean, I can maybe like zoom. Look at that. Is that better?
Yeah, can I
more? I can't go any farther than that.
These are two of the richest people in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at both of their faces. Look at their jaws. And does Mark Cuban's face look like somebody like just cropped his eyes down to his mouth and shrunk it down a little bit? Don't it look like you need to enlarge his eyes and nose and mouth a little bit, like they shrunk his features down? Elon just always kind of they look like they're made. They don't look like
all right. So
they look like it's plastic over an Android.
Let's be fair. Okay. These guys are older, right? They're both in their late 50s, maybe.
Dude, I'm going to be.
They're not that much older. Actually, they're not that much older than me. Let me think about this.
I don't look like that. I hope. I mean, they're probably better looking than me. That's not a judge. I don't care.
So you're especially like, I don't know. Definitely age is getting there. It's getting there. Mark Cuban looks a little bit like a predator, where he's kind of trying to smile, but like it's not touching his eyes at all. His eyes are like, I think I can stab you in the neck, and I don't think anybody's going to say anything about it. So he kind of looks like a predator. Okay, let's get to the story.
To me, always looked like that little kid in the neighborhood that he was always going to get into trouble, and even when he knew. Even when he knew that he was going to get into trouble, he still done it anyway, and he would take. That's Elon.
That reminds me of a story.
One time but he would always just get into trouble.
One time I was driving with my wife, and I was doing something, and I don't know, maybe I did something with the car, or maybe I said something, and my wife she wasn't my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, sitting in the passenger seat, and she said, "If you do that again, I'm going to hit you in the balls." And in my brain, I was like, "Oh no." And then I was like, I have to. And I did it again, whatever it was. And then she punched me in the balls while I'm driving the car. And I was like, I knew it was I knew, but I couldn't not. So that's kind of Elon Musk energy, I guess, a little bit. Okay, anyway. Okay, so you are a liar is what Musk said to Mark Cuban regarding DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So these two guys were back and forth jibber jabbering on Twitter, and let me actually flip over to we'll just do here. So Cuban is defending DEI. Mark Cuban, if you've ever watched Shark Tank, and you probably know him as the owner of the Mavericks or a big face on Shark Tank, invests a lot in small companies and then helps them get profitable, and then gets some of that profit for himself. That's one of the revenue streams that he has. A lot of companies in the United States have been migrating or have been kind of like incorporating this diversity, equity, inclusion, adding DEI officers, making sure that you got enough people based on skin color, I guess. And and so DEI is this kind of thing in the corporate world that on its face looks totally racist, but according to Mark Cuban, it's good. So Musk responded to a post on X Saturday that quoted Mark Cuban saying, DEI does not mean you don't hire based on merit. Of course you hire based on merit. Here's the reply. Don't. Deke's bored.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. That's one of my. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm stressed.
So Elon Musk replied to the rabbit hole. The airline industry can't find enough qualified pilots, even without DEI requirements. Like, we want the best people possible to fly these planes. So, Mark Cuban replied to that and saying that if you don't hire based on entirely on race, you do hire based on merit. So Cuban hit back with some with a statement. By the way, it looks like multiple layers of merit-based evaluations before they can fly or fly for United. Okay, let's go to this one.
I'm so lost, dude.
I know. Mark Cuban is defending DEI.
Middle school fight is what the long story is on this.
Yes. Well, no, because Mark Cuban is saying that DEI is valuable, and Elon Musk is saying no. Hiring people based on race is racism. It is not valuable. So these two are going back and forth, and let me just get to the skinny. Here we go. This will work.
I don't care what color you are. If you're not qualified, you're not qualified. I'm not going. I shouldn't have to hire and have a certain number of race, inclusions in my business if my business is trying to do the best it can. If the best people for the job for my business is black people, then I'm hiring all black people. If all the Mexicans are better for my job than all the white guys, I'm not hiring you white guys. I'm sorry. They're more qualified than you.
Yeah, it really shouldn't.
Qualifications and experience.
Skin color
should make it
should not be even considered. Like,
at all.
None of that should be considered. You should be like, who's the best people at building a house? Who's the best people at assembling a rocket? That's the people you want to hire. Who's the best people to play basketball? So Elon Musk said,
exactly. The basketball thing is hilarious because
yes,
one of my friends just said this the other day to me, and it was my dad who said it. One of our local teams that we actually have been covering for a decade or more, their high school basketball, they are the number one team in the state this year. They are so good, blowing people out of the water. They went and played in Florida against some of the number one teams in the nation in this tournament and won the tournament. And I think it was my dad said, boy, I bet you that whole place down in Florida thought, what are these 5 corn-fed white boys doing down here from this little small town? And those 5 corn-fed white boys ended up winning the whole tournament, So they were better qualified than any of the other people. It shouldn't matter what their skin is.
So Cuban's out there arguing in favor of DEI, but he doesn't hire short white women to play basketball. So, all right.
Exactly. I mean, look at that. Look at that example. Are you going to hire the 6'8" guy that can't hit anything?
Yeah.
Or are you going to hire Manute Bowl? No, not Manute Bowl. Muggsy. Well, who was the little Spuds
McKenzie?
Spud Webb.
Spuds McKenzie.
Spud Webb. No,
Spud Webb.
McKenzie was the freaking dog. Spud Webb was that little. He was in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
5'2", 5'3".
Yeah,
he was the dunk. He 6'8" can't play basketball. 5'2" is awesome at basketball.
Right.
This guy. Over here.
Yeah, that's called merit versus DEI. So, all right, that was the. Sorry that we framed it, didn't handle that story the best way, but you guys should go check it. For really, no way. Although I did just do this. I was over here. I'm gonna show this one more thing. Check this out. I was over here on. I was over here on Twitter looking through the Musk and Cuban. That was my search term right now, and I got several of these like posts or whatever. especially Elon Musk calling Mark Cuban is racist. But check this out. What is this? Your Two Dads, 8 a.m. CST. You can follow us on Twitter or here on rumble.com. Like, we're right there in the feed. It's pretty great. Mm-hmm.
I gotta talk.
He's got to talk. All right. Let me pull up the next story. Sorry, folks. I had this like so well planned this morning. Let's see if Reuters is the page that destroyed my connection earlier. The Biden administration issues a rule that could curb gig work and contracting. Deke put this story in there. The U.S. Department of Labor on Tuesday issued a final rule that will force companies to treat some workers as employees rather than less expensive contractors, in a move that has riled business groups and will likely prompt legal changes. Oh, Deke's gone. Where's the dealy do? Nope. Here. Oh my God. Amateur. Nope. There we go. Most federal and state labor laws, such as those requiring minimum wage and overtime pay, apply only to a company's employees. And studies suggest that employees can cost companies up to 30% more than contractors, because you got health insurance and, a bunch of other like stuff. As opposed to a contract worker, which is just a 1099. You pay a contract worker for services provided and issue a 1099. The rule will require that workers be considered employees rather than contractors when they are all economically dependent on a company. Wow. So basically, the government is going to tell all of you folks how to run your businesses, and he's going to have you run your businesses into the ground. Deke, you put the story in here. Yeah, did you have any thoughts about that?
No, I just wanted to point that out because the contract workers now are a lot. There's a lot of contract workers, and people are doing it for extra money. Ashley will DoorDash sometimes for extra money, but it's gotten, it's gotten so big in our area that they don't. I mean, it's not worth it hardly anymore. Buddy of mine and viewer of the show, Joey, does a lot of those different. He's got a full-time job, but he does some of those different things, and he's tried to get me in on a couple of them that I'm just lazy and I haven't filled them out yet. But he does that too. And there's a lot of people that do that for extra money now and extra income. I mean, Ashley, we were talking about it because Joey actually said, why don't she dash or something like that? Cause I was like, we just sit around the couch and, she's on her phone and I'm on mine sometimes. And we got the TV on and farting around on the computer or something like that. And he was like, man, I go out and dash, and some nights I'll bring in an extra $80, $90 just for 3 or 4 hours, and I'm like, damn, I'm lazy. I
want to sleep. I want to watch TV. But really, like a rule like this, you're like, oh well, we're going to help the people or whatever. No, what you're going to do is cause these businesses to reevaluate their business practices, and they're going to say, oh well, look, if we continue with this model, we're now going to have employees that do that, which means a lot of people are going to lose opportunities to do pick up gig work or whatever. And in some cases, the companies DoorDash or Uber or whatever, we're like, well, we can't do contract works anymore. So, we're going to close that model and we'll just do dedicated employees. And it makes it harder for people to get work.
It could greatly hurt some of these companies on these apps, because the app that he's been trying to get me to fill out, and like I said, I'm lazy, is Fiverr. And
busy.
I know, but I'm lazy too. But when I have my downtime, I like to lay around, because I'm so doing stuff all the time that when I have my downtime, I like to lay around. And when I'm laying around, I feel like I should be doing something, and I never do. I've got all these great intentions, and I'm just like, but he's trying to get me to sign up for Fiverr, and companies like that would be impacted by this as well. And there's a lot of people on there that do like what I was, vocal work and audio production and stuff like that on there. And that's a little extra money out of people's pockets that, would help, families pay a bill. If they could make $250, $300 extra a month and pay the one bill, an electric bill or a car payment or something, that is a
Or maybe
That's a
they can
huge
afford
sigh of
2
relief.
gallons of milk a month.
Yeah, if
Right?
you had that extra money to spend on groceries or something.
It's almost like the government, by trying to do something to make things better for people, inadvertently fucks things up and makes it worse,
Never done that
no
before.
matter what they
It's
do.
weird.
Why don't you just let people handle their own shit? Leave
First time
people
for everything.
alone, government.
First time for everything, JJ. Quit picking.
All right, pick a story,
What other
sir.
story did we have? Okay, you did that first one there. Okay, so we talked about this the other day, and we believe your brother left the greatest comment in the world. The U.S. is going back to the moon for the first time, but
Oh no.
oh, this is just a video, and we're not watching this video. So basically, there's a fuel leak, and all kinds of other things going wrong, and so they're
Yeah.
pushing it back. You know,
Yeah. Well, it's up, isn't it up there floating around or something right now? Like it's up there. They put it in space, and then they like it was on. It had already launched. I thought the rocket had launched, and then there was a problem.
I don't know anything about that, man. I don't pay attention to that crap. It's all fake.
We read the story on the air yesterday.
I don't watch this show, dude.
No. You don't listen when I'm talking.
What was that? What'd you say? Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm throwing them out. You're throwing them out. I'm knocking them out of the park. I've got another.
Yeah, you are.
I got another good one here that goes hand in hand with the space story, and that's just. I didn't want to like elaborate on the space story. I wanted to talk about this beautiful picture there. What's that make you think of? Native Americans, you're exactly right, JJ. The Navajo Native Americans are objecting to once again to flying human ashes to the moon. To the moon. But it's not going to affect anything. They're just like, yeah, we understand, but whatever. Is basically what they've told the Navajo before.
Why are we not allowed to put ashes on the moon? Why are we doing that? I don't know, but why do they not want to see it?
You can, and they already have. There are ashes on the moon already, but and there's 2 companies that are doing space burials that are in this little launch, you know. But the Navajo people hold the moon as sacred, and they say that putting remains on the lunar surface amounts to desecration. And they've said this before. Because when they first put human remains on the moon, it was Eugene Shoemaker, a pioneer in planetary geology. It was in a small capsule. NASA intentionally crashed the spacecraft into the moon in 1999, leaving Shoemaker's ashes permanently on the surface. At that time, the Navajo Nation objected to the scattering of Shoemaker's ashes on the moon. And it talks about the sacredness of the moon is deeply embedded in the spirituality and heritage of many indigenous cultures, including our own. He said the placement of human remains on the moon is a profound desecration of this celestial body revered by our people. And he says this act disregards past agreements and promises of respect and consultation between NASA and the Navajo Nation, notably following the Lunar Prospector mission in 1998. So after they did that in 1998 and they said, please don't send this up there. And they were like, okay. And they did it anyway. They were like, we promise to respect you and consult you in future shit. And they didn't consult them or respect that and disrespect.
Okay. I have a couple of points here. One, it's a private company that's putting ashes on the moon, not NASA. NASA is not putting
NASA is allowing them to do it on their rocket. They could say no.
Okay. And the other thing is this. Why don't we say, the rest of us that are not Navajo, or just any of us, maybe you and me, why don't we say, well, I hold the earth to be sacred. The earth. So don't put your dead people on earth.
No.
Checkmate.
You can say that. I greatly respect the Native American people. I have very close Cherokee blood on both sides of my family. It's only like great grandparents of Cherokee. So I see what he's saying, but I also see that the moon doesn't belong to them, and there are a lot of crazy people on this earth that are going to do stuff. And if they disrespect your stuff, you can. I'm sorry that happens, but a lot of us will respect you. There are going to be people that do that because there are 8 billion people on this earth and climbing. A lot of assholes. At least 20% are assholes or more.
I'm not on team put people's bodies on the moon, but I'm also
or anything like that.
But I'm also like, well, if people want to do that, like, not my moon. I don't know. I'm just like, this is crazy. Why would you tell people they can't put something on the moon if they can get to the moon? What if they miss? Just goes right past it. Okay.
What if they never
all
make
right.
it and they invent the whole thing with Stanley?
Why does NASA have an agreement with the Navajo? What are they getting out of it? I don't understand.
They don't have an agreement with them. The Navajo said, "Hey, blah blah blah," and they said, "Okay,"
Yeah.
and they did it anyway. But then they, how the talking heads go and the bullshit. They were like, "We promise to respect and consult you in the future," and the Navajo people were like, okay, you told us you will promise and respect and consult us in the future. So when they did it again, knowing full well that they were full of shit, the Navajo didn't think they were full of shit. They were respecting them on their word, and these people went back on their word.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the Navajo people.
This is why you don't agree to things.
Well, maybe the Navajo people automatically assume that, or maybe he was trying to keep a positive outlook on life. Positive Peter. If our names were up there, I would change your name to Positive Peter.
Hey, do good. Morning, do good. Morning. Good morning, sir. Yeah, this is why you don't blanket promise people stuff. That's why you don't do that.
Do good is here because that fires off a story that I kind of wanted to talk about. I don't have it pulled up, but you could probably find it real quick. But have you seen what's been going on? I think it's in Germany. Have you seen what's been going on with the farmers in Germany? And I have no clue what it's about because I haven't looked into it. I've just saw the videos. Looks like thousands of tractors hauling manure and stuff, and they're just unloading it everywhere. I think it's in Germany because when I saw the story, I thought, "Oh, do good. I need to ask him about this and what's going on."
I'm looking this up right now.
Yeah, it's like they were spraying stuff on the buildings and unloading it in the on the interstates and stuff over there. I think it was Germany.
Okay, so my first search attempt did not work. I tried German bullshit. That didn't work. I'm going to try with tractors.
Find your good.
German farmers block roads with tractors in protest over cuts. Dun dun dun. Wow, that's crazy. So the preview headline was one thing, and then the click on the story, the headline changed. This is from The Guardian. German Vice Chancellor warns of extremism as far-right groups join farmers' protest.
See, okay, we can read the headlines and see what they say, but I would really like to talk to our buddy who actually lives there.
Yeah. Well, tell us. Do good if you.
He made a good point when we were talking about the moon. He said the moon is not sacred for us, so we don't see it as a big deal. All right, so Duguid just said that farmers have blocked roads because the government cut funds. If there is one people that we need to take care of in every single country, Germany, America, anywhere, it's the farmers.
For real, farmers, for real.
I live in a community. I live in a community
with little appreciation for farmers for a long time, but I watched both seasons of Clarkson's Farm, and I honestly have a tremendous respect for farmers.
So
like awesome. For real.
Yeah,
for real. Like those dudes.
Yeah, they are hard freaking work. Some of the hardest work. The cowboys. Those are the modern day cowboys. The farmers are, because they are up before you, and they go to bed after you. Usually, they're hard workers. If something happens in the middle of the night, they're up fixing it.
Equipment failure, they have to fix it. You got to manage this growing season of all these different plants. You got to manage the humidity. They have hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment and loans that they have to cut. They keep the cycle going where they have to buy this big equipment.
They should be.
It's crazy. These guys are smart.
We need to take care of is our
difficult,
because if we don't
and valuable,
farmers, we all starve to freaking death. I've got a let's see. Okay, here's
look at this, dude. No, don't move on yet. Okay. Extremist groups started marching with the farmers and tried to undermine their cause. They're getting
happens over here.
Yeah, they're attracting the Antifa environmentalist crazy people in to get in there to false flag it or whatever. Okay.
There were those pictures, and I don't know if they were real or not, but I've seen several of them when those riots were happening years ago, and they were like, why is there just a bunch of bricks and lumber laying in the middle of the street here?
Right.
It's like
random pallet of bricks.
A pallet of bricks just laying there. And while this riot, I mean, where did that come from?
Are there always just available bricks if you need a brick?
Around, because that shit's like $18
Strange
board.
Right.
I want to go take that.
No kidding. It was, especially at that time, it was very expensive. Okay, let's do.
I got one.
We got about 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
what else we got?
Let's skip that one. We'll save that one for tomorrow then. Let's
German bullshit.
Something that we can save for tomorrow because I thought we wasn't going to have. Let's get to some entertainment. You want to get to some entertainment?
Yeah, right. Please. I want to get some cruise news.
Now, JJ, and for the regular viewers of the show, you know how much I just love Tom Cruise. I mean,
oh yeah,
he doesn't look like a demon at all. I mean, if you saw any smile on his face looking at you and your 5-year-old little girl, you would feel very safe to let your child go with that person. Wouldn't you feel safe with your daughters around Tom Cruise? I certainly would.
I don't. No. Tom Cruise may not be near my daughters. No, sir. I bet you that if Tom Cruise walked in your radio station, he would be so charming and friendly that you would find yourself suddenly unable to not like him right while he's there.
I agree.
I bet that's true.
But at some point during I would be like shocked that Tom Cruise walked in the door.
Right.
All right. But I'm not one of those people. I've met a lot of famous people working in radio. I don't really get starstruck. I've never really have, because I've been around these famous people backstage and in the green rooms and stuff, and they're just normal freaking people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're not like we talked about earlier in the show. They are a character that I know, and you get backstage and they're not that character anymore.
So I know that you kind of despise Tom Cruise, and I personally find some of his life choices to be sketchy, but but I do think that he's a great.
Don't say actor. If you say actor, I'm leaving.
Not
the
actor.
Show. I'm unplugging.
No, not great actor. He's great at being intense Tom Cruise in movies, and sometimes those movies are fun. Sorry, Edge of Tomorrow, super fun.
There's only so much of your buddy that drinks coffee all day long and shoots freaking Red Bulls. There's only so much of him that you can handle. You know, I've done this for years. About 20 years. I've had this this thing that a buddy of mine actually made up, and I said I'm going to use that because a friend of mine was one of these people.
Yeah, guess. All right.
Yeah. A friend of mine was one of these people, and I call them 5-minute friends. You can only stand them for about 5 minutes. You're like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And then in 5 minutes, you're done. All right, I got to run. No dad
He's
jokes.
Got to run.
Today. I've got to go.
Okay, no dad jokes today. And another time we will get into what operating Thetan level Tom Cruise is.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that tomorrow.
Do you know any of that? Maybe, yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. It'll be great. Okay, folks, thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to cut it short. He's got stuff to do, and I got people here too. Bye, everybody.